The year was 2147, and humanity had finally reached the stars. For centuries, people dreamed of exploring space, but it wasn't until now that Earth truly stepped into the vast unknown. The nations of Earth had set aside their differences to form a united force called the Global Space Alliance. This alliance worked tirelessly to build ships capable of traveling beyond the solar system. Among these creations stood the Eclipse, Earth's first star destroyer. The Eclipse was massive, larger than any ship ever built. It stretched across kilometers of space, its sleek silver hull glinting under the artificial lights of the orbital dock where it was assembled. Its engines roared like thunder when activated, and its weapon systems were designed to protect humanity from anything lurking in the dark corners of the galaxy. But despite its power, the Eclipse was still untested. No one knew how it would perform outside the safety of Earth's orbit. Commander Ryan Carter stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, staring out at the endless expanse of space through the panoramic viewport. He was a tall man with short brown hair and sharp blue eyes. His face carried the lines of someone who had seen too much but refused to give up. Ryan had spent years commanding smaller vessels, but this was different. Leading the Eclipse felt like carrying the hopes of all humanity on his shoulders, and he didn't take that lightly. Beside him stood Lieutenant Laura Bennett, his second in command. She was younger than Ryan, with curly black hair tied neatly behind her head and a confident smile that never seemed to fade. Laura was known for her quick thinking and calm demeanor during crises. Together, they made a strong team. Behind them, the rest of the crew bustled about, preparing the ship for its maiden voyage. There were engineers checking systems, navigators, plotting courses, and technicians running final diagnostics. "Everything looks good so far," Laura said, glancing over the status reports displayed on her tablet. "Engines are stable, shields are operational, and life support is holding steady." Ryan nodded but didn't respond immediately. He kept his gaze fixed on the stars ahead. They twinkled faintly against the blackness of space, each one representing a world or a mystery waiting to be discovered. But Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was out there, something dangerous. Humanity hadn't encountered intelligent alien life yet, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time. "Let's hope it stays that way," Ryan replied finally, turning to face Laura. "We're heading into uncharted territory. Anything could happen." Laura gave him a reassuring smile. "That's why we're here, sir, to find out what's out there, and to make sure we're ready for whatever comes our way." With those words, the Eclipse began its journey. The ship detached from the orbital dock and moved smoothly into open space. As it accelerated, the curve of Earth disappeared behind them, replaced by the infinite darkness of the cosmos. For many on board, this was the farthest they had ever been from home. Some felt excitement, others felt fear, but all shared a sense of awe as they gazed out at the universe stretching endlessly before them. Their mission was simple: patrol the outer edges of human territory and test the capabilities of the Eclipse. However, things took an unexpected turn just 2 days into their voyage. While scanning nearby sectors for anomalies, the ship's sensors picked up strange energy signatures. These signals were faint, almost imperceptible, but they pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat. "What do you think it is?" asked Daniel Hayes, the ship's lead engineer. He was a wiry man, with glasses perched on his nose, and a habit of talking faster than most people could follow. Right now, though, his voice was slow and cautious, reflecting the seriousness of the situation. "I'm not sure," Ryan admitted, leaning over the sensor display. "It could be natural phenomena or—" He trailed off, unwilling to voice the other possibility that it might be alien technology. Lieutenant Bennett stepped closer, studying the readings carefully. "If it's artificial, we need to investigate. We can't ignore something like this." Ryan hesitated. On one hand, investigating the source of the signal aligned perfectly with their mission objectives. On the other hand, approaching an unknown energy signature without knowing its origin was risky. Still, curiosity outweighed caution. "All right," he said after a moment. "Set a course for the source. Let's see what we're dealing with." As the Eclipse moved closer to the signal, tension spread throughout the ship. Everyone knew they were entering unfamiliar territory. Engineer Daniel worked tirelessly in the engine room, ensuring that the experimental warp drive remained stable despite the gravitational forces pulling at the ship. Meanwhile, communications specialist Emily Ross sat at her station, trying to decode faint signals detected by the ship's array. These signals sounded almost like whispers, distorted and fragmented as if carried across light years. One night, during a routine scan, the ship's AI assistant, designated Echo, detected movement outside the hull. At first, no one believed it. The cameras showed nothing unusual, and visual confirmation was impossible because the objects moved too fast for human eyes to catch. But thermal imaging revealed fleeting shapes darting around the ship. They were small, insect-like, and completely silent. "Commander, we've got something out there," reported Laura, her voice tight with concern. "Thermal scans show multiple contacts moving erratically around the ship." Ryan frowned, his mind racing. "Are they drones? Probes?" "It's hard to say," Laura replied. "They're too fast to get a clear reading." Ryan wasted no time. "Activate defensive protocols. Arm the turrets and prepare for potential engagement." The crew sprang into action, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Weapon systems came online, and the ship's shields were raised to full strength. Everyone braced themselves for what might come next. But then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the mysterious entities vanished. The thermal scans cleared, and Echo confirmed that whatever had been outside the ship was gone. Silence fell over the bridge as the crew processed what had happened. Laura broke the quiet first. "Sir, I think those were probes, possibly sent by an alien civilization. Testing us, maybe." Ryan nodded slowly. "Could be, or it could be something else entirely." He turned to face the viewport, his expression grim. "Whatever it is, we're not alone out here." Despite the unsettling encounter, the crew pressed on. Hours later, Echo uncovered fragments of data suggesting that the energy signatures originated from a derelict structure, drifting silently ahead. From the initial scans, it looked colossal, easily dwarfing the eclipse itself. Its surface was pockmarked with craters and scars, evidence of eons spent adrift in space. "This changes everything," Ryan muttered, staring at the image on the screen. "Prepare a recon team. We're going to check it out." And so, the eclipse approached the ancient relic, its crew both eager and apprehensive. Little did they know, this discovery would alter the course of humanity's journey among the stars forever. The eclipse drifted closer to the colossal relic, its surface illuminated by the faint glow of distant stars. The structure loomed ahead like a ghost from another time, its jagged edges and fractured panels hinting at a history far older than humanity itself. Ryan Carter stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the view screen as the ship's scanners worked to gather more data. Every detail about this relic was strange. Its design didn't match anything humans had ever seen or built. "Lieutenant Laura," Bennett leaned over her console, analyzing the incoming information. "It's massive, sir," she said, her tone tinged with both awe and unease. "At least twice the size of the eclipse. And it's not natural. It's artificial." Ryan nodded but remained silent. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Whatever this relic was, it wasn't just a random piece of debris floating in space. It was purpose-built, and that meant someone, or something, had put it here. The question was why. Daniel Hayes, the ship's engineer, chimed in from his station. "I'm picking up residual energy readings coming from inside the structure. It's faint, but it's there. This thing might still be active." "Active?" Ryan echoed, turning to face Daniel. "You mean powered?" "It's possible," Daniel replied, adjusting his glasses nervously. "If it is, we need to tread carefully. We don't know what kind of systems are running in there, or if they're safe." Laura glanced at Ryan, her expression serious. "We should send a team to investigate. If this relic holds advanced technology, it could give us an edge out. Here, but we'll need volunteers." Ryan thought for a moment before making his decision. "All right. You'll lead the recon team, Lieutenant. Take Daniel with you. He knows the tech better than anyone. And brings Samantha Cole, our medic, just in case. An hour later, the team prepared to board the relic. Laura suited up in her environment suit, checking the seals one last time. Beside her, Daniel fidgeted with his equipment, muttering under his breath about the risks involved. Samantha, calm and composed as always, double-checked her medical kit while offering quiet reassurance to the others. As the airlock cycled open, the team stepped onto the relic's surface. Their boots crunched against the metallic exterior, which felt cold even through their suits. The silence outside was deafening, broken only by the sound of their breathing over the comms. Above them, the eclipse hung like a guardian, its lights casting long shadows across the relic. "This place gives me the creeps," Daniel admitted, glancing around nervously. "Feels like it's watching us." "Stay focused," Laura reminded him firmly. "Let's stick to the plan. Echo will guide us to the nearest access point." With Echo's assistance, the team located a hatch embedded in the relic's side. It was circular, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Laura examined it closely, searching for a way to open it. After a few moments, she found a small indentation near the edge. Pressing it caused the hatch to slide open with a low hiss, revealing a dark corridor beyond. "Looks clear," Samantha whispered, shining her flashlight into the opening. The beam revealed smooth walls lined with glowing symbols that pulsed faintly, almost like they were alive. The team moved cautiously inside, their footsteps echoing softly in the narrow passage. The air smelled stale, like nothing had disturbed it for centuries. Laura kept her hand on the weapon strapped to her side, ready for anything. Daniel, meanwhile, studied the walls with fascination, snapping photos with his handheld scanner. "This place. It's incredible," Daniel murmured, his voice filled with wonder. "These symbols, they're some kind of language. If we can decode them, we might learn who built this thing." "Focus, Daniel," Laura said sharply. "We're here to assess the situation, not play archaeologist." They continued deeper into the relic, following the glowing symbols that seemed to guide them forward. Eventually, the corridor opened into a large chamber. In the center stood a cluster of crystalline structures, each one emitting a soft hum. The room felt alive, as though the very air vibrated with energy. "What do you think these are?" Samantha asked, pointing her flashlight at the crystals. They shimmered under the light, refracting it into dazzling colors. "I don't know," Daniel replied, stepping closer. "But they're definitely technological. Look at how they're connected to the floor. It's like they're part of the system." Laura scanned the room, her instincts telling her to proceed with caution. "Be careful, Daniel. We don't know what touching those things might do." Before she could stop him, Daniel reached out and touched one of the crystals. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire chamber lit up, bathing them in a blinding blue light. The humming grew louder, resonating through their suits and making their teeth vibrate. "What did you do?" Laura demanded, shielding her eyes. I don't know," Daniel stammered, pulling his hand back. "I just touched it." Suddenly, a holographic figure materialized in the center of the room. It was tall and ethereal, its form shifting between humanoid and something unrecognizable. Its voice echoed in their helmets, speaking in a language none of them understood. "Echo, can you translate?" Laura asked urgently. There was a pause before the AI responded. "Attempting translation. Partial success. Fragments detected. Warning, devourers. Balance." "Devourers?" Samantha repeated, her voice trembling. "What does that mean?" Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring in their ears. Back on the Eclipse, Ryan's voice crackled over the comms. "Lieutenant, get back to the ship immediately. We've got company." Laura turned to her team, her expression grim. "Move, now." They sprinted back toward the exit, the relic's walls flickering erratically around them. As they reached the hatch, they saw flashes of light erupting from the direction of the Eclipse. Something was attacking the ship. Back. On the bridge, Ryan gripped the railing tightly as explosions rocked the Eclipse. Dozens of sleek insectoid ships had emerged from the darkness surrounding the Star Destroyer. Their weapons fired relentlessly, cutting through the ship's shields with ease. "Report!" Ryan barked, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around him. "Shields are down to 40%, shouted one of the crew members. "Their weapons are unlike anything we've seen. They're tearing right through us." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Divert all available power to the shields. Return fire, target their engines." The crew scrambled to follow his orders, but it was clear they were outmatched. The alien ships darted around the eclipse with impossible speed, dodging most of the return fire. Each hit sent shudders through the hull, and sparks flew from overloaded consoles. "Sir, we're losing structural integrity in sections 5 and 6, another crew member called out. Ryan knew they couldn't hold out much longer. He activated the ship-wide intercom. "Attention, all hands. Prepare for emergency. Protocols. This is not a drill." Just then, Laura and her team burst onto the bridge, their faces pale with exhaustion. "Commander, we've got a problem," Laura said breathlessly. "That relic, it belongs to whoever built those ships. They're called the Devourers. According to the hologram, they're dangerous." Ryan stared at her, his mind racing. "How dangerous?" "Dangerous enough to wipe out civilizations," Laura replied grimly. "And they're feeding on energy, including ours." Ryan cursed under his breath. "We need options. Fast." Daniel stepped forward hesitantly. "There might be a way to disrupt them. The relic's crystals. They're part of some kind of energy network. If we overload the warp core, it could create a feedback loop that scrambles their systems." Ryan considered the idea. Overloading the warp core was risky. It could destroy the eclipse along with the enemy, but they were running out of choices. "Do it," he ordered. "Everyone brace for impact." As Daniel rushed to the engineering bay, the rest of the crew prepared for the worst. The alien ships intensified their assault, battering the eclipse with relentless firepower. Sparks rained down from the ceiling and smoke filled the air. Despite the chaos, Ryan remained calm, issuing commands to keep the ship operational for as long as possible. Finally, Daniel's voice came over the comms. "Warp core destabilization initiated. 10 seconds to detonation." Ryan gripped the railing tighter. "All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods." But before anyone could move, the eclipse erupted in a blinding explosion of light. The yow. Feedback loop surged outward, engulfing the alien ships in a wave of energy. One by one, they faltered, their systems disrupted by the sudden surge. Within moments, the attackers scattered, retreating into the void. When the light faded, the eclipse was heavily damaged but still intact. Smoke billowed through the corridors and parts of the hull were breached, exposing sections to the vacuum of space. But the crew had survived. Ryan let out a shaky breath, relief washing over him. They had won. For now. But he knew this victory came at a cost. Humanity had glimpsed the true dangers of the universe, and it was only a matter of time before they faced them again. The eclipse limped through space, its once mighty frame battered and scarred from the battle with the Devourers. Fires had been extinguished, breaches sealed, and critical systems restored to minimal functionality, but the ship was far from operational. The crew worked tirelessly to keep it afloat, their faces etched with exhaustion and determination. For Commander Ryan Carter, the weight of leadership felt heavier than ever. On the bridge, Ryan stood silently, staring at the view screen. The vast emptiness of space stretched before him, cold and indifferent. Behind him, Lieutenant Laura Bennett approached, her expression grim. She held a tablet in her hand, displaying damage reports that painted a bleak picture. "Sir," she began cautiously, "the warp drive is offline. We've got enough power for basic life support, but if we don't find a way to repair it soon, we'll be stranded out here." Ryan nodded slowly, his jaw clenched. "How long do we have?" "At current power levels, maybe 2 weeks tops. After that..." She didn't finish the sentence. They both knew what would happen. Slowly running out of oxygen, freezing temperatures, and eventually death. "We can't rely on Earth Command to send help," Ryan said firmly. "We're too far from home. It's up to us to get ourselves out of this mess." Laura hesitated before speaking again. "There's something else, sir. Daniel thinks he might be able to salvage parts from the relic. If we can extract some of its technology, it could give us a fighting chance." Ryan frowned. Returning to the relic wasn't an option he liked. The last time they'd been there, it had nearly cost them their lives. But desperate times called for desperate measures. "All right," he said finally. "Prepare another team. This time we go in armed and ready for anything." The next morning, the team gathered in the airlock, preparing for their second expedition to the relic. Alongside Laura and Daniel were two additional crew members, Samantha Cole, the medic, and Marcus Lee, a security officer trained in combat tactics. Each member carried weapons and tools, determined not to leave anything to chance. As they stepped onto the relic's surface, the oppressive silence returned, pressing down on them like a physical weight. The structure seemed even more ominous now, its jagged edges casting long shadows under the dim light of distant stars. Laura led the group toward the same hatch they'd used before, her weapon drawn and her senses on high alert. "This place gives me the creeps," Marcus muttered as they entered the dark corridor. His voice echoed softly, breaking the eerie quiet. "Stay sharp," Laura warned. "We don't know what's waiting for us inside." They moved quickly, retracing their steps to the chamber with the crystalline structures. When they arrived, the room looked different, darker, almost hostile. The glowing symbols on the walls flickered erratically, and the hum from the crystals was louder, more discordant. "What's wrong with this place?" Samantha asked, glancing around nervously. "It's reacting to our presence," Daniel replied, his eyes wide with fascination. "These crystals, they're not just part of a system, they're alive in a way. They respond to stimuli." "Well, let's hope they don't respond by killing us," Marcus quipped, tightening his grip on his rifle. Daniel ignored him, focusing instead on examining the crystals. He pulled out a handheld scanner and began taking readings. "If I can isolate the energy source, I might be able to extract it without triggering another reaction." "Do it fast," Laura ordered. "We don't have much time." While Daniel worked, the others kept watch, scanning the room for any signs of danger. But the longer they stayed, the more uneasy they became. The air grew colder, and the flickering lights created strange shapes that danced across the walls. It felt like the relic itself was watching them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Suddenly, a low rumble shook the chamber. The ground trembled beneath their feet and cracks began forming in the walls. "What's happening?" Samantha shouted, stumbling to steady herself. "The relic's destabilizing," Daniel yelled, frantically adjusting his equipment. "I think my scans triggered something." "Get out of there," Laura commanded. "Now!" But Daniel hesitated, unwilling to abandon his work. Just as Marcus grabbed him by the arm and hauled him away, one of the crystals exploded, sending shards flying in all directions. The team dove for cover, shielding themselves from the debris. When the chaos subsided, they regrouped near the exit. Daniel held up a small device in triumph. "Got it! This should be enough to fix the warp drive." "Good job," Laura said, though her tone was clipped. "Let's move before this whole place collapses." They sprinted back through the corridors, the relic groaning around them as if protesting their escape. By the time they reached the hatch, the structure was visibly falling apart, chunks of metal breaking free and drifting into space. With no time to spare, they leapt onto the Eclipse's hull and scrambled back inside. Back aboard the ship, Daniel immediately set to work integrating the relic's energy source into the warp drive. The rest of the crew helped where they could, hauling cables, rerouting power, and stabilizing failing systems. Hours passed in a blur of activity, everyone driven by the knowledge that failure meant certain doom. Finally, Daniel emerged from the engineering bay, his face streaked with grease, but a triumphant smile on his lips. "It's done," he announced. "The warp drive is online. We can jump to faster-than-light speeds again." A cheer erupted from the crew, relief washing over them like a tidal wave. Ryan clapped Daniel on the shoulder, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Good work. Now let's get this ship pointed toward home." As the Eclipse prepared to leave the area, Ryan stood on the bridge, gazing one last time at the relic through the viewport. It floated silently in the void, its secrets still hidden, its purpose unknown. Whatever it was, it had saved them. But at what cost? "Set course for Earth," Ryan ordered, his voice firm. Maximum speed. The ship lurched forward, its engines roaring to life as it accelerated into the depths of space. For the first time in days, hope filled the hearts of the crew. They had survived against impossible odds, but Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that their encounter with the Devourers and the Relic was only the beginning. Days passed as the Eclipse traveled closer to Earth. Repairs continued, and the crew worked together to restore the ship to working order. Morale improved, bolstered by the knowledge that they were heading home. Yet amidst the relief, questions lingered in Ryan's mind. During a quiet moment on the bridge, Laura approached him. "You've been quiet lately," she observed. "What's on your mind?" Ryan sighed, leaning back in his chair. "This mission had changed everything. We thought we were ready for whatever's out there, but we're not. Those Devourers, they're a threat unlike anything we've faced before. And that relic, it's proof that there are civilizations far older and more advanced than ours." Laura nodded thoughtfully. "Do you think Earth Command will believe us? About the Devourers and the relic?" "They'll have to," Ryan replied. "Because if they don't prepare, humanity won't stand a chance when the Devourers come back." Silence fell between them, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's systems. Both knew that their journey had only scratched the surface of the mysteries awaiting humanity among the stars. By the time the Eclipse reached Earth's orbit, the ship was barely holding together. Smoke still drifted through some corridors, and patches covered sections of the hull where breaches had been hastily repaired. But despite its condition, the sight of Earth brought tears to many eyes. Home had never looked so beautiful. As the ship docked at the orbital station, Earth Command officials boarded to debrief the crew. Ryan recounted every detail: the relic, the Devourers, the battle, and their narrow escape. Some listened skeptically, while others grew visibly alarmed. One officer, a stern woman named Commander Evelyn Parks, fixed Ryan with a piercing gaze. "You're telling us that these Devourers pose a direct threat to humanity?" "Yes, ma'am," Ryan confirmed. "And they're not alone. That relic proves there are forces in the universe we don't understand. If we don't prepare, we won't survive." Commander Parks studied him for a moment before nodding. "Your report will be reviewed thoroughly. In the meantime, you and your crew deserve rest. You've done humanity proud." Later, as Ryan and Laura watched Earth spin peacefully below them, they shared a moment of quiet reflection. Humanity had taken its first step into the stars, but the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. The universe was vast and unforgiving, and Earth's survival depended on how well they adapted to its dangers. "We'll need more ships like the Eclipse," Laura said softly. "Stronger, faster, better equipped. If we're going to face what's out there, we'll need an entire fleet." Ryan nodded. "And we'll need people willing to lead them. People like you." Laura smiled faintly, her gaze fixed on the blue planet below. "Let's hope we're ready." The Eclipse had returned to Earth, battered but victorious. Its crew was hailed as heroes, their faces broadcast across news channels worldwide. Humanity celebrated the bravery of Commander Ryan Carter and his team, crediting them with uncovering secrets that could shape the future of space exploration. Yet behind closed doors, Ryan felt anything but triumphant. In a meeting room at Earth Command headquarters, Ryan sat across from Commander Evelyn Parks and a group of high-ranking officials. The walls were lined with screens displaying data from the mission, images of the relic, schematics of the Devourers, and recordings of the battle. Despite the evidence, skepticism lingered in the air. "Commander Carter," Evelyn began, her tone measured, "your report raises serious concerns. If these Devourers are as dangerous as you claim, we need to act quickly." Ryan leaned forward, his expression grave. "Ma'am, I can't stress this enough. What we encountered out there isn't just a threat. It's an existential danger. Those ships were advanced beyond anything we've seen. They feed on energy, which means they'll keep coming back for more. And that relic, it wasn't just abandoned technology, it was a warning." Evelyn nodded slowly, absorbing his words. "We're assembling a task force to analyze your findings, but rebuilding the fleet won't be easy. Resources are limited, And public opinion is divided. Public opinion? Ryan interrupted, frustration creeping into his voice. People don't understand what's at stake. We're not talking about skirmishes or border disputes. This is survival. If we don't prepare now, it might already be too late. The room fell silent as the weight of his words settled over everyone. Evelyn broke the silence after a moment. You'll have our support, Commander. For now, focus on recovering. Your next orders will come soon. Days turned into weeks as Ryan and his crew adjusted to life back on Earth. Repairs to the Eclipse continued at the orbital dock, while engineers studied fragments of the relic's technology salvaged during the mission. Daniel Hayes spent long hours working alongside scientists, trying to decode the alien language embedded in the crystals. Each discovery brought new questions rather than answers. Laura Bennett found herself restless, unable to shake the feeling that time was running out. She visited Ryan one evening at his temporary quarters, finding him staring out a window at the stars above. "You look like you haven't slept in days," she said, sitting down beside him. "I haven't," Ryan admitted, rubbing his temples. "Every time I close my eyes, I see those ships, hear the alarms, feel the ship shaking under fire. What if we're not ready when they return?" Laura placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We did everything we could out there. Now it's up to Earth Command to take the next step." "But what if they wait too long?" Ryan asked, turning to face her. "What if bureaucracy gets in the way? The Devourers aren't going to sit around waiting for us to catch up." Laura didn't have an answer. Instead, she changed the subject. "Have you heard about Daniel's progress? He says he's close to cracking part of the relic's code." Ryan nodded. "Yeah, he mentioned something about it. Apparently, the hologram's message was incomplete, but he thinks he can piece it together." "It's better than sitting here doing nothing," Laura said with a faint smile. "Maybe. The relic holds the key to fighting the Devourers." Meanwhile, Daniel worked tirelessly in the lab, surrounded by glowing monitors and scattered notes. Samantha Cole often joined him, assisting with medical scans and offering fresh perspectives. Together, they pieced together fragments of the alien language, translating bits of the hologram's cryptic warning. "This part here," Daniel explained, pointing to a string of symbols on the screen. "It keeps repeating the word balance. I think it's referring to some kind of cosmic equilibrium." "And the Devourers?" Samantha prompted. "They disrupt it," Daniel replied. "From what I can tell, they consume energy sources indiscriminately, throwing entire systems into chaos. The relic's creators must have built it as a failsafe to stop them." Samantha frowned. "So whoever built the relic, they failed?" "It looks that way," Daniel said grimly. "But maybe we can finish what they started. If we figure out how the relic works, we might stand a chance." Just then, an alert flashed on one of the monitors. A series of coordinates appeared, accompanied by a faint signal matching the energy signature they'd detected near the relic. "What is that?" Samantha asked, leaning closer. Daniel's eyes widened. "It's another one, another relic." Word of the second relic spread quickly through Earth Command. Within hours, Ryan was summoned to a briefing. Evelyn Park stood at the head of the table, her expression tense. "Commander," she began without preamble, "we've detected another structure similar to the one you encountered. It's located in a remote sector of space, far beyond human territory." Ryan straightened, his instincts kicking in. "Do we know if it's active?" "Not yet," Evelyn replied. "But given its proximity to known Devourer activity, it's likely connected. We believe it may hold critical information or even weapons that could help us defend against them." Ryan didn't hesitate. "Then we go. The Eclipse is still operational, and my crew is ready." Evelyn studied him for a moment before nodding. "Very well, you'll lead the expedition, but this time you won't be alone. We're sending reinforcements, a small fleet of support ships to accompany you." Relief washed over Ryan, though he kept his composure. "Thank you, ma'am. We'll need all the help we can get." Preparations for the mission moved swiftly. The Eclipse underwent final repairs, its hull reinforced and weapons upgraded. Supplies were loaded and additional personnel boarded the ship, swelling the ranks of the original crew. Among them were seasoned pilots, engineers, and combat specialists eager to prove themselves. As the fleet assembled in orbit, Ryan addressed the crew over the ship-wide intercom. "This isn't just another patrol," he said, his voice steady and resolute. "Out there lies a relic that could change the course of humanity's future. Our job is to secure it and use whatever knowledge it holds to protect Earth. We've faced the unknown before and we've survived. Let's show the universe that humanity doesn't back down." Cheers erupted throughout the ship, echoing through the corridors. For the first time in weeks, hope replaced fear. The journey to the second relic was tense but uneventful. As the fleet approached the coordinates, the structure came into view, a towering monolith drifting silently in the void. Unlike the first relic, this one appeared intact, its surface shimmering with intricate patterns that pulsed rhythmically. "This is it," Laura whispered, gazing at the view screen. "It's beautiful." "And dangerous," Ryan added, his tone cautious. "Remember what happened last time?" The team disembarked cautiously, led by Ryan, Laura, Daniel, and Marcus. As they entered the relic, they found themselves in a vast chamber filled with crystalline structures identical to those in the first relic. But this time, the room was alive with light, casting vibrant hues across the walls. Daniel immediately set to work, connecting his scanner to the central crystal. "This is incredible," he murmured. "It's like the entire system is designed to amplify energy, if we harness it." Before he could finish, the ground trembled violently. Alarms blared as the chamber lit up with a blinding glow, or holographic figure reappeared, larger and more vivid than before. Its voice echoed through the chamber, clearer this time. "Balance must be restored. The Devourers corrupt all. Seek the core." "The core?" Ryan repeated, stepping forward. "Where is it?" The hologram gestured toward a massive door at the far end of the chamber. Without hesitation, the team moved toward it, their weapons drawn. Beyond the door lay a labyrinth of tunnels, each path illuminated by pulsating lights. After navigating the maze, they reached a colossal chamber, housing a glowing sphere suspended in midair. Energy radiated from it in waves, filling the room with warmth. "That's it," Daniel breathed. "The core. It's the source of the relic's power." Ryan turned to Laura. "Can we extract it?" Laura hesitated. "Maybe. But if we do, we risk destabilizing the entire structure." "We don't have a choice," Ryan said firmly. "If this is our only shot at stopping the Devourers, we take it." Working together, the team managed to detach the core and transport it back to
the Eclipse.
As they fled the relic, the structure began collapsing, its lights dimming until it was swallowed by darkness. Back aboard the ship, Daniel integrated the core into the Eclipse's systems. The results were astonishing. The ship's power output increased exponentially, and its weapons became capable of emitting pulses that disrupted Devourer technology. When the Devourers inevitably attacked, the fleet was ready. Using the relic's energy, the Eclipse unleashed a devastating barrage that crippled the enemy ships, forcing them to retreat. As the battle ended, Ryan stood on the bridge, watching the remnants of the Devourer fleet disappear into the void. Exhaustion weighed heavily on him, but so did a sense of accomplishment. "We did it," Laura said softly, joining him at the viewport. "For now, at least." Ryan nodded, his gaze fixed on the stars. "This isn't over. There are still mysteries out there we don't understand. But today we proved that humanity has what it takes to survive." Together they watched as the fleet turned toward Earth, carrying with them the promise of a brighter future and the resolve to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Eclipse and its accompanying fleet returned to Earth as heroes, their success against the Devourers hailed as a turning point in humanity's journey among the stars. News of their victory spread quickly, inspiring hope and pride across the planet. For the first time, humanity felt it had a fighting chance against the unknown dangers lurking in the universe. But for Commander Ryan Carter and his crew, the celebration was short-lived. They knew that while they had won this battle, the war was far from over. In the days following their return, Earth Command scrambled to process everything the crew had brought back: the relic's core, fragments of alien technology, and detailed reports on the Devourer's capabilities. Scientists worked around the clock to study the core, trying to unlock its full potential. Engineers adapted its energy systems to enhance Earth's existing fleet, ensuring that every ship would be better equipped for future encounters. Meanwhile, strategists planned for the long term, knowing that the Devourers wouldn't stay away forever. Ryan spent much of his time in meetings with Earth Command officials, discussing what came next. The weight of leadership still rested heavily on his shoulders, but he found solace in the fact that humanity was finally taking the threat seriously. Lieutenant Laura Bennett often joined him, her sharp mind and calm demeanor proving invaluable during these discussions. Together, they became the face of humanity's newfound resolve to defend itself. One evening, after another long day of debriefings, Ryan and Laura sat together on the observation deck of Earth Command headquarters. Below them, Earth spun peacefully in orbit, its blue oceans and swirling clouds a stark contrast to the cold emptiness of space beyond. Despite the beauty of the view, neither of them could fully relax. "You ever wonder if we're doing enough?" Ryan asked, breaking the silence. His voice was quiet, almost hesitant. Laura glanced at him, surprised by the question. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we've made progress, sure. We've got the core, upgraded ships, and a plan to build more. But is it enough? What happens when the Devourers come back, and they will come back with even bigger numbers?" Laura thought, for a moment before responding. "We can't think like that, Ryan. If we start doubting ourselves now, we'll lose before the fight even begins. We've done everything we can with the tools we have. Now it's up to Earth Command to keep pushing forward." Ryan sighed, leaning back in his chair. "I just wish I had more answers. Every time I close my eyes, I see those ships, hear the alarms, feel the fear, and I can't shake the feeling that we're missing something important." "Maybe we are," Laura admitted. "But that's why we keep exploring, that's why we keep learning. Whatever secrets are out there, we'll find them if we don't give up." Her words offered some comfort, but Ryan couldn't shake the nagging sense that the universe held dangers far greater than the Devourers. He wondered if humanity was truly ready for what lay ahead. Meanwhile, Daniel Hayes continued his work with the relic's core and the fragments of alien technology salvaged from the second relic. Assisted by Samantha Cole and a team of scientists, he delved deeper into the mysteries of the ancient civilization that had created it. Each discovery brought new questions rather than answers, but Daniel remained undeterred. "This is amazing," Daniel said one afternoon, staring at a holographic projection of the alien language. "It's not just a warning, it's a map of where the Devourers originated." Samantha leaned closer, studying the projection. "You think we can trace them back to their home?" "It's possible," Daniel replied. "If we follow these coordinates, we might find out why they're attacking us and maybe even how to stop them for good." Excited by the prospect, Daniel reported his findings to Ryan and Laura immediately. Both listened intently, their expressions growing more serious with each passing moment. "If this is true," Ryan said slowly, "then we need to act fast. But sending a fleet to their territory is risky. We'd be walking straight into enemy territory." "We don't have a choice," Laura countered. "If we want to end this threat once and for all, we need to take the fight to them." After much deliberation, Earth Command approved a reconnaissance mission. A small, highly skilled team would use the relic's core to power a single ship, capable of traveling deep into Devourer space. Their objective was simple: gather intelligence and determine whether humanity stood a chance of defeating the Devourers outright, or if survival meant finding a way to coexist. The chosen vessel for the mission was the Eclipse, now retrofitted with advanced shielding and weaponry powered by the relic's core. Its sleek hull gleamed under the orbital dock lights, a testament to humanity's determination to adapt and survive. As the crew prepared for departure, Ryan gathered everyone on the bridge for a final briefing. "This isn't just another mission," Ryan began, his voice steady and resolute. "Out there lies the origin of the Devourers. Our goal is to learn as much as we can, without engaging unless absolutely necessary. This is about knowledge, not combat. Are we clear?" The crew nodded, in unison, their faces reflecting a mix of excitement and apprehension. They understood the risks but were ready to face them head-on. As the eclipse departed Earth's orbit, the fleet escorting it until the edge of human territory, Ryan stood on the bridge, watching the stars stretch and distort as the ship entered, faster than light travel. The journey would take weeks, giving the crew ample time to prepare mentally and physically for what awaited them. Weeks later, the eclipse emerged from warp near a cluster of barren planets surrounded by debris fields. Scans revealed massive structures orbiting one of the larger planets, structures eerily similar to the relics they had encountered before. It was clear that this was no ordinary star system. It was the heart of the Devourer's domain. "Stay sharp," Ryan ordered as the crew initiated stealth protocols. The ship's systems hummed quietly, masking its presence as it approached the nearest structure. Inside the structure, the team discovered evidence of an ancient conflict, a war, between the creators of the relics and the Devourers themselves. Holographic records depicted battles fought across galaxies, showcasing the devastation wrought by the Devourers' insatiable hunger for energy. The relics, it seemed, had been designed not only as weapons, but also as containment devices meant to imprison the Devourers. Daniel pieced together fragments of the recordings, his expression growing increasingly grim. "They didn't fail because they weren't strong enough," he explained to Ryan and Laura. "They failed because the Devourers evolved faster than they could adapt. By the time they realized what was happening, it was too late." "So what does that mean for us?" Laura asked, her tone tense. "It means we can't rely on brute force alone," Ryan replied. "If we're going to survive, we need to outsmart them." With renewed determination, the team devised a plan. Using the relic's core, they would amplify the eclipse's energy output to create a containment field capable of trapping the Devourers temporarily. While risky, it offered the best chance of buying humanity time to develop a permanent solution. As the eclipse engaged the Devourers' forces, chaos erupted. The enemy ships swarmed relentlessly, their weapons tearing through the containment field layer by layer. But the crew held firm, executing their strategy with precision and courage. In the final moments, Ryan gave the order to activate the core's full power, creating a shockwave that collapsed the field and trapped the Devourers within. Exhausted but victorious, the eclipse limped back toward Earth, carrying with it the knowledge that humanity's survival depended not on strength alone, but on ingenuity, unity, and the willingness to confront the unknown. As Ryan gazed out at the stars once more, he allowed himself a rare moment of optimism. Humanity had taken its first real step toward securing its place among the stars. And though challenges undoubtedly lay ahead, he knew they were ready to face them, together.